She never intended to bring children into her lonely cabin until a midnight bargain flung three shadowed figures onto her doorstep, their heads wrapped in burlap, and one whispered her name. On a moonless night, high in the painted hills, Martha Sinclair sat by her hearth, carving wooden spoons for the day ahead. Years of widowhood had sharpened her resolve and dulled her hope. Her only companions were the creak of log walls and the whistle of wind through battered shutters. But tonight the wind carried a different sound. Hoofbeats crunching on frost-hardened earth, a desperate clamor that drew Martha to her door. She opened it to find three children, no older than 10 or 12, huddled beneath heavy burlap sacks. Collars dusty, shoes worn to tatters, they rocked on trembling legs. Standing before them was a gaunt trader, lantern in hand, his breath visible in the cold air. "Madam," he rasped, "I have 3 orphans, no names, no pasts, just survival. Yours for 50 silver cents each, or take them all for $1.50. He held out a weathered coin purse gleaming faintly. Martha's grip tightened on the doorframe. She'd heard rumors of orphans sold to strangers, but she'd never imagined witnessing such a transaction. The children remained silent beneath their sacks, yet Martha sensed their fear and abandonment. In that moment, her heart stirred with an impulse she thought long dead. "How did you come by 'em?" she asked, voice low. The trader tilted his lantern toward the sacks. "Found 'em wandering the plains, no kin, no home. I bring 'em here so someone with a heart might give 'em shelter." Martha peered into the darkness, recalling her own loss. Her husband taken by fever, her son lost to the river. The ache of a mother bereft pulsed in her chest. She found herself stepping forward. "Very well," she said, voice steady. "I'll take all 3. The trader's grin glimmered like a snake's. He dumped the coins into her cupped palm, then gestured to the children. "Lift their sacks." Martha's pulse thundered. This was no small act. It was a promise to 3 nameless souls. She reached for the nearest burlap, hand trembling. At her touch, the first child, hands knotted together, shivered. Martha slid the sack off. Under the coarse fabric stood a boy with haunted brown eyes, cheeks smudged with dirt. He stared at her, wide-eyed. She drew back, but the trader prodded her on. Martha uncovered the second child, a goggle-eyed girl with missing shoe, knees scraped raw, arms curled protectively. The third, smallest of all, remained silent until Martha's fingers found the final knot. When the last sack fell away, something extraordinary happened. The smallest child, a little girl with ash-blonde hair tangled like tumbleweed, lifted her chin and in a clear, unwavering voice said, "Mother." Martha froze. Her breath hitched. The girl's eyes locked onto hers with uncanny certainty. "Your name," Martha whispered, voice catching. "You know me?" The child nodded, stepping forward into the lantern's glow. "I'm Mary. You've been waiting for me." Shock and wonder collided in Martha's mind. How could this child stranger know her name? In that instant, the trader slipped away, vanishing into the night as though he had never existed. Martha gathered the children into her arms, heart pounding. "Stay close," she whispered. "We'll light the hearth, and then—" She paused, tears glinting in her eyes. "We'll find out why you called me mother." Above them, the wind moaned through the pines, as if echoing the new life beginning within those rough log walls. And in the hush that followed, Martha Sinclair, widow, woodcarver, guardian, took 3 trembling hands and stepped into a destiny she never saw coming. 3 children, strangers, claiming her as mother. Who were they, and what ancient promise had drawn them through the storm? Martha stoked her hearth fires, the cabin glow banishing the last shadows. The orphan boy and girl huddled by the door. Little Mary stood at the hearth, her pale hair flickering in the amber light. "Sit," Martha commanded gently, handing each child a ragged blanket. "You must be cold and hungry." The boy, whose brown eyes brimmed with caution, pushed forward. "What happened to the Sacks?" he asked, voice hoarse. They hurt our heads before." Martha hesitated, recalling the trader's harsh treatment. "You're safe now," she said. "No one will harm you here." The second child, a dark-haired girl with fierce eyes, murmured, "They said the Sacks would make us forget who we were." Her voice shook with anger, but Mary remembered. Martha's heart tightened. She knelt to Mary's level. "How did you know my name?" Mary wrapped her arms around herself. "I dreamed of you in the snow. Your voice called me from deep beneath the pines." Martha's mind raced. Legends whispered of lost children guided by forest spirits, of binding oaths between mother and child. Could these children be part of that strange folklore? The boy cleared his throat. We had no homes. Then we heard her voice over the winds. We followed it." Martha rose, resolve shining in her eyes. "Then we'll shelter you, no questions. But come morning, we'll search the valley. We'll find your families or new ones. Does that sound fair?" The children exchanged uncertain looks, then nodded. Martha turned to the dark-haired girl. "And your name?" The girl's eyes softened. "I'm Ruth." Martha exhaled. "Tom, Ruth, Mary, welcome home. Tomorrow we begin anew." As the fire crackled, the 3 orphans settled around Martha, drawn by her warmth and strength. Outside, the storm had vanished, leaving a carpet of untouched snow and a silent promise that love could thaw even the coldest night, and that mysteries hidden beneath burlap could blossom into families where none had existed before. Beneath the silent pines, truths long buried stir, and not all who roam these hills mean well. By dawn's soft light, Martha led Tom, Ruth, and Mary outside. Snow crunched beneath their boots as they approached the edge of her cleared yard. The cabin's footprint was the only sign of human life. Beyond, the dense forest stood watch. "Tell me what you remember," Martha urged, her breath pluming in the chill. They formed a tight circle, faces pale in the morning glare. Tom swallowed. "We were taken from our homes 3 nights ago," he began. "Bandits, or worse, raided the farmsteads along Red Elk Creek. They hauled us into a wagon, covered our heads, and threatened us if we didn't keep quiet." His voice trembled. "They said we'd fetch a high price." Ruth's dark eyes burned with anger. "We escaped when they stopped for water at Miller's Ford. Mary slipped away into the woods. Then we found each other." She glanced toward Mary, whose small hand gripped Ruth's coat. Martha's jaw clenched. "Red Elk Creek is 2 valleys west. Anyone who's run that route might track you here." She studied the forest line. "We need to make sure no one follows." A distant echo reached them. Horses' hoofbeats, faint but growing closer. Martha's gaze snapped to the tree line. "Come back to the cabin, quickly!" She ushered the children back under the porch's shelter. Martha retrieved her rifle and double-checked the sidearm at her hip. The children's eyes widened with fear and trust. They believed in her. From the tree line emerged 3 riders, dust-smeared and grim-faced. The tallest man rode ahead, lantern bobbing at his saddle horn. Martha stepped forward, rifle level. "State your business," she commanded, voice steel. The lead rider dismounted, boots crunching. "Mrs. Sinclair," he said, lifting his hat. "Sheriff Mallory's deputy, Deputy Carter. We've had reports of missing children. Your ridge is the last place they were seen." Tom trembled. "I'm Tom Fletcher. Ruth and Mary—" Carter's eyes softened as he recognized Martha from town. "I'm here to escort them back. Their families are frantic." Martha's gaze flicked to the children huddled behind her. "They're under my protection until we know they're safe. If their families come, they're welcome. But no one tracks them here without my say-so." Deputy Carter gave a respectful nod. "Understood, ma'am. The sheriff sends his thanks. He trusts your judgment. But there's more to this. Folks speak of a gang operating along Red Elk. We'd be grateful for any lead you find." Martha lowered her rifle without removing her hat. "Bring them to the cabin. We'll feed 'em, patch their wounds, and then you can question them, if they choose." As Carter led the children away, Martha's eyes followed them. The early sun glinted on her rifle barrel, a promise that Blackwater Ridge would be their sanctuary and their shield. Inside the cabin, Ruth sobbed quietly as Martha set out fresh blankets. "They won't hurt us now," Martha murmured, tucking her in. Mary clung to Ruth's hand. Tom stood by the hearth, eyes wide. That night, Martha pored over maps by candlelight, marking Red Elk Creek and the known gang's routes. The wind rattled the shutters as if urging her on. She realized the safety of her new family meant she had to stand guard not just at her door, but against the very outlaws who preyed on the weak. And so, under the silent watch of Blackwater Ridge's pines, Martha Sinclair prepared for the fight ahead, a fight to protect the orphaned children who had become her own and to root out the evil lurking beyond the snowy passes. When the moon dips behind the pines, outlaws strike, and Martha Sinclair stands between the ridge's darkness and the fragile light of her newfound family. That night, Martha barely slept. Candlelight flickered over the maps spread across her table, each marked trail a potential threat. She loaded extra cartridges, checked her rifle's sight, and whispered a prayer for the children. When dawn broke, she would strike first. At first light, Martha saddled her mare, Tom and Ruth at her side, each armed with a hand-forged knife. Mary, clutching her favorite wooden spoon, stayed inside with blankets and porridge ready. They rode the ridge trail toward Red Elk Creek, Martha's eyes scanning for signs of the gang's camp. By midday they found it, a half-circle of tarps and wagons hidden beneath hardwoods, horses hobbled nearby, the crackle of a fire interrupting birdsong. Martha slowed, heart pounding. 2 men stood watch. A third leaned against a wagon, cleaning his pistol. Martha dismounted silently. She signaled Tom and Ruth into the underbrush. "Wait for my whistle," she whispered. "We end this quickly." Creeping through the brush, Martha's rifle aimed at the nearest sentry. She squeezed the trigger. The shot cracked like thunder, and the bandit dropped without a cry. The other 2 spun, but Ruth hurled a rock that clattered against a wagon wheel, drawing their attention. Tom slipped forward, knife raised. He cut the hobbles on the mare, sending it gallopus free. Ruth sprinted toward the campfire, snatching a coil of rope and looping it around the second outlaw's leg. Chaos erupted. Martha fired again, driving the gang's leader behind his wagon. She pivoted, covering Tom as he advanced on the third man. "Leave them be!" Martha shouted. These children are under my protection, the leader spat, pistol trembling. But Tom's knife gleamed in the sun as he stepped between the man and his horse. The outlaw dropped his weapon and sank to his knees. Ruth freed the second man's leg, then kicked away a barrel of gunpowder near the fire. The camp lay in eerie silence. Martha holstered her rifle. "Tied him up," she instructed Tom and Ruth. Working together, they bound the outlaws securely. Mary appeared at the trail's edge, bowl of steaming porridge in hand. "Breakfast?" she offered shyly. Martha smiled, nodding. Justice can wait for hunger to be sated. As the children fed their captives, Martha rode back to the cabin, the ridge air ringing with victory and relief. She would send word to Deputy Carter, and Blackwater Ridge would once again be a safe haven for the young souls who had called her mother. Under the same pines that witnessed the purchase of 3 sack-clad children, Martha Sinclair reaffirmed her promise. No darkness, no matter how deep, could extinguish the light she had kindled for her family. As the years turned on Blackwater Ridge, Martha Sinclair's cabin became a beacon of hope, a place where lost children found family and outlaws learned mercy. Tom grew into a strong young man, Ruth a keen woodswoman, and little Mary the light of their hearth. Under Martha's guidance, they rebuilt the burned timberlands and planted an orchard that blossomed each spring, a living symbol of rebirth. Word of the hidden vein beneath the ridge remained Martha's guarded secret. But its true treasure was far greater, a community forged in compassion. When Deputy Carter returned each year to check on the orphans he'd once been sent to retrieve, he found not ragged children, but thriving adults who called Martha Mother. Their families, once torn apart by greed and fear, reclaimed their farms and settled nearby, drawn by the promise of safety and gratitude for Martha's selflessness. In her twilight years, Martha watched the youngest generation chase the golden light through the pines, laughter echoing like wind through the limbs. She held the weathered bear token Mary had pressed into her hand that first night, its lines worn smooth by decades of love. Under a canopy of stars, Martha realized the greatest gold was not buried beneath her cabin, but in every hand she had sheltered, every heart she had mended. And as the ridge wind whispered through the ancient oaks, Martha Sinclair, widow, woodcarver, guardian, knew her legacy would endure as long as those pines stood sentinel over Blackwater Ridge. Thank you for riding along with Martha Sinclair and her brave children on Blackwater Ridge. If you enjoyed this tale of compassion, courage, and family, please give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new frontier legend. Drop a comment below telling us which moment moved you most. Was it Mary's first word, the ambush at Red Elk Creek, or the wildfire showdown? Your thoughts help shape future stories, so don't be shy. And if you have friends who love Western lore, share this video with them. Saddle up and stay tuned for more unforgettable adventures under the wide western sky.